Imagine being on a flight where, after several unsuccessful attempts to land, the aircraft ends up running out of fuel, which forces the pilot to make an emergency landing in the middle of the ocean. This story is the terrifying account of ALM Flight 980, which was brought to a precarious condition as a result of a series of crucial choices that were made. Why watch until the end? In this video, we will look into the astonishing events that occurred during that deadly flight. We will investigate the choices made by the crew, the experiences of the passengers, and the long-term influence on aviation safety. Having an understanding of this tragedy provides the opportunity to learn significant lessons in crisis management and the significance of adhering to safety regulations. Background of ALM Flight 980. Suppose that your normal flight suddenly turned into a conflict that may end your life while you were flying over the ocean. John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City served as the departure point for ALM Antillean Airlines Flight 980, which was operated by Overseas National Airways ONA. The flight was scheduled to arrive at Princess Juliana International Airport on St. Martin, which is located in the Netherlands Antilles. The aircraft was a Douglas DC-933CF equipped with the tail number N935F and was given the moniker Carib Queen. Additionally, there were 6 crew members on board the aircraft, which included Captain Balsy DeWitt, First Officer Harry Evans II, and Navigator Hugh Hart. The trip carried 57 passengers. The flight and initial challenges. The voyage started off without any problems, but as the airplane got closer to St. Martin, the weather conditions became much worse. Because of the heavy rain and the low visibility, landing was dangerous. In bad weather, the crew tried to land 3 times but failed. The amount of fuel that the airplane used during these maneuvers was more than what was planned. Critical decision-making under pressure. In a situation when every second matters, how may seemingly little errors in math lead to disastrous outcomes? Following the failed attempts to land at St. Martin, the crew was left with a difficult choice. Either they should divert to a different airport, or they should continue their efforts to land at St. Martin. They decided to make a detour to St. Thomas, which is located in the United States Virgin Islands and is roughly 150 miles, circa 241 kilometer distant. On the other hand, this choice was taken without a thorough computation of the amount of gasoline that was still available, which resulted in an underestimate of the fuel status of the aircraft. The emergency unfolds. As the crew of ALM Flight 980 neared St. Thomas, they became aware that the aircraft's fuel reserves were very low, leaving them with few alternatives to choose from. The urgency of the situation prompted them to decide to make a course correction to St. Croix, which was located closer and gave a greater possibility of arriving safely on shore. However, before they could reach, the airplane totally ran out of gasoline, which resulted in both engines shutting down. Given that they were without power and quickly losing altitude, the crew had no alternative but to make an emergency water landing, also known as ditching, in the Caribbean Sea, roughly 30 miles or 48 kilometers off the coast of St. Croix. This set the scenario for a precarious survival situation. The ditching and immediate aftermath. Do you think you would be able to survive a crash landing in the middle of the ocean with your aircraft flying about you and breaking apart? The landing of ALM Flight 980 was carried out in very difficult circumstances, with strong waves making it difficult to manage the descent and limited daylight lowering visibility. Although the conditions were tough, the landing was successful. The airplane shattered into pieces as it collided with the ocean, causing everyone who was on board to experience a state of turmoil. 23 of the 63 passengers and crew members on board the aircraft sadly lost their lives, while 40 of them survived, with many of them suffering from injuries ranging from serious bruising to fractures. As they tried to remain afloat in the open ocean until assistance came, the survivors were forced to endure an excruciating wait for rescue. They were fighting tiredness, panic, and the ever-present risk of drowning. Investigation findings. To fully understand what happened, the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, carried out an exhaustive inquiry. Several significant problems were brought to light by the findings: fuel mismanagement. The crew failed to monitor fuel levels effectively and made an error in their calculations on fuel consumption rates, which ultimately resulted in fuel exhaustion. Under pressure, the crew made decisions that ultimately led to the disaster. These decisions included the decision to divert without doing correct fuel evaluations and the delay in declaring an emergency. Coordination of the crew. The flight's crew was unable to properly handle the emergency situation because there was insufficient communication and coordination among them. Lessons learned and impact on aviation safety. How did this tragedy change the way pilots handle in-flight emergencies forever? The event that occurred on ALM Flight 980 resulted in numerous significant revisions to the regulations that govern aviation safety, enhancements to fuel management procedures. To forestall the recurrence of such incidents, airlines have developed more stringent fuel monitoring and management techniques. Improved crew resource management (CRM). The accident brought to light the need for improved communication and coordination among flight crews, which ultimately led to the establishment of training programs for CRM. Upgrades to disaster equipment. During the disaster, the absence of a public address system that was operational made it difficult to communicate effectively with passengers. Consequently, the government enacted regulations to mandate the installation of functional public address systems in every airplane. Measures to ensure the safety of passengers. The disaster brought to light the need to provide passengers with enough information on emergency procedures and the requirement for safety equipment that is in good working order, such as life jackets and rafts. Survivors' accounts. In their accounts, the people who survived Flight 980 described the terrifying events that occurred during the ditching and the ensuing wait for assistance. The prompt acts of fellow passengers and crew members who supported each other during the crisis were regarded by several individuals as the single most important factor in their survival. These tales have been very helpful in gaining an understanding of the human elements that are present during catastrophes of this kind and have led to the improvement of procedures for evacuation and rescue. In conclusion, the tragic events that occurred on ALM Flight 980 serve as a powerful reminder of the perils and difficulties that are inherent in the aviation industry. The incident highlights the crucial need for meticulously managing fuel, making decisions that are both decisive and informed, effectively coordinating activities among the crew members, and being well prepared for any emergency that may arise. Because of the lessons that were learned from this terrible occurrence, there is little doubt that the safety and dependability of air travel have been much improved in the present day. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more.